Life is an endless cycle of cause and effect, action and reaction. Many live their lives spellbound by automatic response, lost in a world of incessant looping movement. Without a single moment of awareness, we resemble robots on autopilot, unconsciously reacting to people, situations, habits, cravings, thoughts, and feelings. But if we look carefully, we observe a space in between action and reaction. To consciously harness and expand this space, we can make the choice to pause for a few seconds or minutes, stepping out of everything to come into nothing, stillness, presence. It is here that we step out of the perpetual cycle of doing to instead rest and being. It is here that the all-consuming world loses its heaviness. It is here that higher wisdom shines through. This divine gap provides an opening for the light of our awareness to infiltrate our being as we center back into the bigger picture. We may then proceed while standing at the cause of our life rather than the effect.
So what does the sacred pause look like? Well, if you are watching this, then it is likely that you have awakened a presence within you. And this presence gives us with the ability to suddenly wake up in the midst of our daily happenings and come into the present moment. So our daily lives, they are constantly filled with momentum, with doing, and sometimes this momentum can build up very, very quickly, whether it's in the inner or the outer world. On the inner world, perhaps thoughts are suddenly building up and up and up because they are fear infused, and then these thoughts create an emotional response, and we're caught in this rapid cycle of thought feeling. And in the outer world, perhaps there is a drama that is unfolding that we are trying desperately to control. So the sacred pause comes as a halting of this momentum as we radically surrender to the moment.
We may harness our presence whenever we remember and suddenly wake up in the midst of momentum to enter into the sacred pause where we stop. We stop feeding the movement with the energy of our attention to instead come back into stillness, into the present moment. For many, it may be directing the attention towards the breath. For many, it is simply being aware of being aware. And I find that it really helps to close your eyes because this really allows you to let go of distraction and concentrate. The pause offers a great remembrance as we recall our practice and our deepest values and intentions. It is in this pause that we can jump into the witness and disentangle ourselves from identification with thoughts, emotions, and earthly dramas, to instead tap into the ever-present silent awareness that we truly are and is always with us. As a result, this moment of rest oftentimes births the answers to our problems, and we are elated with a sudden clarity that was previously hidden.
The sacred pause doesn't have to just be a few seconds or a few minutes. It can actually show up as extended periods of rest and stillness. So for example, maybe taking time out of our chaotic life to go and be in a retreat, or perhaps like illness or physical injury more forcibly asks us to be still. But the unparalleled power of the pause really graces us with this choice, essentially, to hit the reset button and remember all that we have forgotten.
We so often get sucked into all of the world's distractions, all of the content within our awareness. And when we are blessed with a moment of awakening during the flow of life, then it's totally up to us to resist the urge to continue controlling the situation and instead let it all go for a moment of sacred pause, to witness, be present, and surrender.
We have to really trust in the pause and trust in the practice, because the mind, it doesn't want to stop. It wants to sustain itself, and it will generate thoughts such as, oh, I'll take a pause once I've finished the problem, or oh, a pause isn't going to do anything for me right now. It's not going to help me in the slightest. Or perhaps I haven't got time to take a pause. And maybe if we are in a social situation, the mind says, that person's going to think I'm really strange if I just tap out for a few seconds. But negate the mind. Don't mind the mind. Lose interest in what the mind is saying, because it's all just stories. In the pause, there is no story. The thoughts don't exist in the pause, we transcend them.
The more we train ourselves to choose a sacred pause, the more we respond consciously and the less reactive we become. We also learn to choose it more and more because the trust in this divine gap begins to strengthen. We feel the peace and magic that lies within it. Have you ever been working on a project or something and you hit a block and you're just kind of going round and round in circles, and then you walk away, you take a pause, and you come back only to find that you have a fresh new look at things? Or if you are struggling to sleep and then you get up to take a walk and upon coming back to bed fall straight to sleep. The sacred pause works like that. Things miraculously resolve themselves once we break that cycle of manifestation. Spaciousness is magic, it truly is.
I actually often find that in the moments that I really need to take the sacred pause the most, I actually forget. You know, the pull of the mind is so strong, and we can really just get lost in identification with it. And in retrospect, I look back and I think, oh wow, I would have handled that situation or that experience so much more smoothly, more wisely, more consciously, if I had remembered to have just taken a sacred pause and to really center myself for a moment of presence.
Oftentimes, when it is most needed, we are lost in identification with the mind, emotion, and whatever the drama is that is unfolding. And that is okay. This is a practice after all. We train ourselves to take a conscious breath. We train ourselves to react with the sacred pause so that we may find a remembering in the moments of madness.
And I say madness because sometimes we can look back on our behavior and our impulsive reactions and think like, wow, I completely lost myself. I was like totally unconscious and acted insanely, whether it's through like indulging in an addiction or a craving, or even exploding with anger towards another person. But these divine gaps, what they do is they bring us back to ourselves, where wisdom sometimes follows. Not always, but sometimes follows. You know, we mustn't get attached to this, the outcome of the sacred pause as well, because what we do is we take the sacred pause for ourselves. We take the sacred pause to find a moment of surrender towards whatever life is presenting us with.
Throughout the day, we are often met with addictions, cravings, and impulses, whether it be the urge to overeat, procrastinate on social media, smoke a cigarette, and so on. Watching, witnessing, and feeling this subtle sensation of the urge within the body during the sacred pause can be very interesting and sometimes even liberating, as the craving may even disappear in the light of presence and go back to its dormant state. But again, we surrender to any outcome, as resistance will only perpetuate it further. Similarly, we often bypass emotional reactions and subtle feelings within, but just simply taking the time to pause and be with an inner sensation can really allow it to process properly.
So you may choose to integrate these pockets of pause into your life and see what it does for you. I personally think that we can never underestimate the power of the pause and the strength and wisdom that lies within it.
It only takes a reminder to breathe, a moment to be still, and just like that, something in me settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and I remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we all will cross the finish line, and that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as I forget to catch myself charging forward without even knowing where I am going, that many times I can make the choice to stop, to breathe, and be, and walk slowly in the mystery.
Oh.